Hello. We will be talking about dissociative disorder today. Mm, Props to Lauren Axton for this Prezi presentation. We're just borrowing it, and I find it very truncated and up to date. So we're gonna we are gonna use this for our presentation. Okay. So dissociative disorder. This dissociative disorder is a mental illness that involves the disruption or breakdowns of memory, consciousness, awareness, identity, and or perception. So, by the definition itself, it's kind of broad and a little bit fluid in terms of its definition, but under the DSM-5, there are actually details there that keeps this disorder in one category. So when one or more of these functions is disrupted, symptoms can result. Symptoms can interfere with a person's general functioning. No? And so, muna siyang gitawag nga disorder because it has already been interfering with a person's normal functioning. Okay. So, symptoms of dissociative disorders is a category which can be broken down into 5 different disorders, all with different symptoms, but in one category. First would be dissociative amnesia, the inability to recall to recall important information. Okay. But amnesia in itself, or the loss of memory in itself, could also be a symptom to the other disorders which will be tackled later. And then we have the dissociative fugue. Sudden onset from severe trauma may involve creation of new identity to replace details from trauma. But the thing with fugue is that a person muna siya ang disorder wherein a person might wake up one day not knowing who he is or who she is, would most likely transfer or move away from a place to another place and create a new identity with new social environments. They would even create new lives out of sa katong wala nila na ilhan, where that. And then the thing with fugue is that it doesn't really crystallize. So sa dissociative fugue, at some point the person would most likely revert back to their original, to their old identity. Okay, maglisod og crystallize ang new identity because of dili man siya complete without the past nga details of the person, no? And in most cases it would be trauma uh, that would be the cause, no? And then we have the depersonalization disorder, feeling one is going through motions of life but is disconnected. Sa depersonalization disorder, what happens is everything in a person's life, or some parts or some aspect of a person's life, ma-disconnect sa iya, no? So it might also happen na the person would view his body as not really his, no? A person would feel that he's not really living the life, his own life, no? So everything or some parts of his life is depersonalized, meaning he doesn't even perceive this aspect of his life as his, no? So, and they would be feeling that they are going through the motions of life but is disconnected sila sa everything that's going on around them, no? And then we have dissociative identity disorder, previously called multiple personality disorder. Follows severe trauma when we have multiple distinct personalities. So sa dissociative identity disorder, what happens is that there would be one ego, true, or gitawag nga original nga ego, and then na din tayo gitawag nga alter egos that would emerge from the person, no. These alter egos might have different different handwritings, different nga voices, different memories, distinct nga personality types, no, or rather distinct personalities from the original one, and they can actually switch the original ego to the alter one, no, depende sa ilang gitawag nga stimulus, no. So inana, no, it follows severe trauma, no. What happens with dissociative identity disorder is that in the shallowest nga explanation, the person has these alter egos, and their function is actually to protect the ego from being hurt, no, from the traumatic experience, to relieve from the traumatic experience, no. So dili nila sugtan nga i-relieve sa person ang traumatic experience nga ilang naagian. So what happens is that there are alter egos that would switch with a person with the original nga ego or personality, so that dili siya mo undergo of the same pain and the same traumatic nga experience. So dissociative disorder not otherwise specified. There are other disorders that ilahang symptoms are basically dili siya commit towards one category, so natay gitawag nga unspecified causes, no. So the causes of this would be coping mechanisms for trauma, no. Imagine yourself undergoing a traumatic experience. Now, one of the best, or rather di man best, but one of the things nga which would lessen the hurt, di ba, on a conscious level, for example, if nakakay mistake, if nakay blunder, if you've committed a certain blunder, it's easier to wash your hands from the experience, right? Wala ko'y labot ana, no? And then from that, dili na ka masakitan. If you were a leader of a group, for example, namoy reporting, for example, and then all your members wala nagbuhat sa report, ikaw ra, and then at the day of presentation, wala mo naka-report or wala mo naka-report properly, and so consciously easier sa imo to say nga wala ko'y labot ana because I did my job, no. So it's easier for you to step back and alienate yourself from this experience on a conscious level. So on a severe level pod, maybe this traumatic experience, or rather this disorder, makes a person step back, no, from the event and depersonalizes everything. Thus, it lessens the impact of the trauma dira sa person. Usually forming in childhood, no, subjected to physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. There were even cases wherein rape victims reported that they have this so-called out-of-the-body experience wherein they were seeing themselves being raped. So instead of experiencing the whole thing personally, they actually depersonalized during that hideous event, and then what they saw was it's another person being raped. So it actually lessens, it dampens the impact of the traumatic experience dira sa tao, no? Environment that is frightening or unpredictable, and they step outside of themselves. So they are rare in adults, but there are cases, no? So they step out of themselves. The idea there is nganong usually sa childhood siya, because when bata pa man gud ta, most likely wala pa kay impact ang norms, ang societal norms sa ato. So given the nature of the mind of a child, dali na kita maka-create og stories, dali na kita maka-create og characters, no, dali na kita maka-create og make believe nga world para sa tong kaugalingon on the conscious level, no. So on this respect, no, maybe mo siyang usually go form sa childhood because inanat pa ka malleable atong brain as to we could actually trick our mind into believing what we created inside, no. And then we have treatment options, several methods of therapy including psychotherapy, medication, and hypnosis. Psychotherapy, three stages. Initial stage, uncovering altered personalities, no. So sa initial stage sa psychotherapy, no, i-uncover dapat tanan personality. Why? Because you have to know what you're dealing with, no? And then the second phase would be treating traumatic memories and fusing alters. Lisod kini siya, no? Lisod kini siya because you have to fuse the alters. If you have 5 alter egos, then 1 original, you're actually fusing 5 distinct personalities with 5 distinct memories, and you actually butanta process them and make them believe that they are one person, no. If you're interested in what itong the case of Sarah Bear, no. So na siya 5 ka alter egos, no. Third phase, consolidating newly integrated personality. And so the newly integrated personality actually is more adaptive. You don't, so inani ni siya in normal nga cases, no, a person would normally adjust to traumatic experience, no. But in severely abnormal cases, a person might create alter egos to protect himself, or might depersonalize to protect himself from other people, or naay gitawag nga amnesia, right? Might not remember things so that dili siya masakitan, no. So in the third phase of psychotherapy, gina-consolidate ang newly integrated personality. So integrated na siya, gina-consolidate, gina-strengthen, that dili na siya mo revert back into the phase wherein needed pa siya mo utilize og alter egos to protect the self, no. So family and group therapy are open, helpful. And then medication, psychologists prefer to keep medication to minimum, no. May prescribe tranquilizers or antidepressant, no. The truth is it wouldn't be psychologists, it would be psychiatrists that would prescribe medication. Many people with dissociative disorders can easily become addicted to drugs. So put yourselves in their shoes, right? And then the idea there is you are, for example, in the depersonalization disorder, you are in a situation wherein dali kay ka ma-depress. Why? Because you feel like you're just what? You're just an overseer, you're just an observer sa nahitabo sa imong kinabuhi, and you're not even connected to your own feelings or to your own body, for example. And so it's easy to become depressed, or it's easy to become hopeless or frustrated, no. And that dali ra kayo ma-addicted sa drugs, because drugs and alcohol could actually offer a different reality for a person. So kana po. Okay, let's remember that drugs, especially illegal drugs, can actually offer an alternative reality, no, for a person that is in pain. Mo binang uban nga alcoholic, where ilang problem are not really on alcohol, but ilang problem would really be on themselves or their families or something sa ilang kinabuhi that they cannot comprehend, that they cannot grasp, and they cannot solve it, no, and they can't even face it. And so what happens is that because kay dili nimo ni ma-solve, which is in reality, you'd rather want to go to an alternate nga reality wherein yes, pwede ka mo inom and then mahubog, and then it's a different reality, or pwede ka mag-drugs and then it's it's a different reality altogether. You're just escaping the one that you have. So it's not actually a very good thing to do. No? So that's with the medication. No, and hypnosis not always necessary, used to recover repressed memories and control behavior. Hypnosis is actually very controversial because there are so many practitioners or professionals in the field who's saying di ni siya, it's not really that effective, and some say that it's effective, and so dili mo gud siya empirical, mo lang pud siya. No, it's empirical, but again, just to leave some space for its credibility, dili nato matawag nga purely empirical mong gunitanan because we are dealing with the human mind, and there are still some mysteries in it nga we haven't solved yet. No. Interesting facts, previous known as multiple personality disorder, ang DID, higher than average intelligence, 9 times more women than men, no, receive therapy, ngano kaha, maybe because women are more sociable and more up to what? They are up to seek more help than men. No, 97 have been physically or sexually abused. 97%. So it's a very heavy nga correlation. No, average of 18 to 13 personalities. Average of 7 years in the mental health system before being diagnosed. Imagine you're in the mental health system and then I pa ka ma-diagnose, right? So famous people who have dissociative disorders, we have Adam Duritz, Roseanne Barr, and Herschel Walker. I don't really know those people. So here's a case study. Sige lang, we won't get into this because in our class we will be tackling cases on DID. Okay, so that is all for this meeting.